Hello and welcome to my channel, Cook from the Past. I am Catherine and thank you for joining me today. For those of you new to my channel, I show ways to prepare nutritious food the way a cook from the past would. A cook from the past was very frugal and did not waste anything. They were creative and made do with whatever it was on hand. The nutrition of their family was important to them, and they prepared healthy meals that fueled the body. And they cooked from scratch, keeping in mind the frugality, creativity, and good nutrition that was so important to their family. So today I'm making a turkey pot pie. This episode is the final installment for taking a whole turkey, which was purchased at a phenomenal 75 cents a pound. And to give you some perspective, this is April of 2023. And with that, I made 4 pints of canned turkey breast, 23 pints of wonderful turkey broth, dinner for 4 that included the legs, dinner one night for our Great Pyrenees dog, who absolutely loved it, turkey stroganoff that made 4 servings, and this recipe for turkey pot pie that uses a 2-ingredient biscuit type crust. So the ingredients I'm going to be using for the turkey pot pie today will include 2 cups of the leftover turkey that came from the turkey carcass after I made the broth. I've got 1/4 cup of butter divided into 2, 1 medium onion, 1 pint of homemade turkey broth, 2 tablespoons of regular flour, some heavy whipping cream, self-rising flour, poultry seasoning, dried parsley flakes, 3 good-sized stalks of celery, and 2 chunky carrots. So keep watching and we'll head into the kitchen and get this dinner going. Okay, welcome to my kitchen, and we're going to get going on that turkey pot pie. I've got the heat going under the pan, and about 2 tablespoons of butter have been put into it, and I'm going to use that to saute the onions, carrots, and celery. So for chopping up the celery, if there's any bits of the celery that you don't want to be in your dish, go ahead and save it, just like the frugal cooks of the past did, and put it aside. You can put that in the freezer and use it for some stock at a later date. So I'm just going to sort of roughly chop the celery. Doesn't have to be exact. So this is about the size of the pieces that we're doing. Butter is almost melted. And again, these don't need to be in little bitty pieces. The nice chunks will be big. The turkey itself is nice and chunky, so it'll all go in and make a nice chunky pot pie. All right, some of these ends of the celery are a little large, so I'm going to cut those in half lengthwise and then get them cut. Make sure you're using a knife that is nice and sharp. And when you're holding it, here's your handle. Also hold down in here to keep a nice level hold on it, and it won't slip out of your hand. You don't want to end up in the emergency room getting stitches. So I'm going to cut the ends off of the carrots, and again put those into my dish that will go into the freezer. I'm cutting this carrot in half. It's pretty hard to try and cut a carrot lengthwise if it's the whole length of the carrot. So these are good chunky carrots, so I'm just going to cut it in half and then do slices about the same size that I did for the celery. This piece is even bigger yet, so I'm going to go ahead and give that another cut. This pot pie is going to have lots of delicious vegetables in it. If you want less or if you want more, do whatever you and your family enjoy. I'm going to do this last carrot. I did not peel this carrot because it was a nice shape. But if it was a little funky looking, I would have peeled the carrot first. But in this case it's not, so we're leaving it just as it is. That chunky end again. I'm just going to cut it again. It's going everywhere. Alright, that is it for the carrots and celery. Alright, now we're going for the onion. All of this loose papery bits on the onion can be put in your dish that will go into your bag in the freezer, so you can use it for stock another day. Every bit of it is good for a stock that you're going to be straining out the solids anyway, so you may as well keep it. The papery portion of a yellow onion makes a nice golden color to the broth. If you were to put a red onion in instead, that would be fine too, whatever you have on hand. But it would change the color of the broth a little bit to a more of an amber color. Again, doesn't matter, it all tastes good, and it's a matter of using what you have on hand. Okay, I've got the ends cut off of this onion, and what I'm going to do is cut it longwise. Put the cut side down. I'm going to make fairly chunky bits of onion, but if you want it to be less chunky, you can make it fine. But this is kind of a chunky pot pie, so I'm not going to worry about the size of the onion. I'm going to turn the heat up a little. There we go. Now, if you have a problem with the onion making you cry, you can go ahead and put the onion in the refrigerator for a couple of hours before you cut it, and I guarantee you will have no tears. I neglected to do that with this onion, so it's getting a little teary-eyed around here, but it's towards the end of the onion, and I'm just going to get it done real fast and into the pot. Alright, give it a good stir. I'm going to put the lid on it for a few minutes, and that will help for it to cook. I'll come back into just a few, and then we'll continue on with the rest of this process. All right, the vegetables in the pan look to be about done, so I am going to take them out and we'll set them aside. Looking delicious already. Okay, it's going back onto the heat. I've got the vegetables sitting on the side here. We're going to put the rest of the butter into the pan and let it melt. All right. The regular flour, not self-rising, this is 2 tablespoons of regular flour that's going to go into the pan with the butter. And we're going to be making a roux, which will become our sauce for the turkey pot pie. We're going to be stirring this continuously, and it'll kind of bubble in the pan as the flour is being cooked in the butter. Just kind of let that happen for about a minute. So you don't want it to get too brown, just a little bit is perfect, but too brown and then you risk having a burnt flavor to it. All right, it's looking good, so we're going to start adding the broth. A little bit at a time and stir as you go. If you have a whisk, that would be perfect to use. You do need to stir constantly so you don't end up with a lumpy gravy. I do think I'm going to take the whisk to that. So that is 1 pint of turkey broth, or turkey stock. And that's probably a lot of noise on the video there. All right, I am going to use this opportunity While it's waiting to cook through to get some seasonings in the pan. So I'm going to start with a teaspoon of salt, and we'll taste it later on and see if that's enough. We can always put in more, but we can't take it out once it's in if it's too much. And I'm going to use about a half teaspoon of black pepper. That's probably going to be more than enough. Give it a stir again here. Okay, about 1 teaspoon of parsley flakes. And about a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe a rounded 1/4 teaspoon of poultry seasoning. And whisk it around again. I do have a little extra turkey broth left over here from another recipe, so I'm just going to go on ahead and add that. You can't have too much gravy in your pot pie. So I'm waiting for that to come up to a very low boil. While I was off camera, I did chop up the turkey a little bit more. It was pretty large chunks, so smaller pieces I think would be more bite size appropriate. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a taste and see if there's anything else that needs to be adjusted. All right, that's pretty good. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of cream. This is a 1/4 cup. This is the heavy whipping cream. I'm going to add that to the pan to give it a nice creamy gravy. The seasonings were fine in it. Drops left there. All right, I'm going to just let that boil for just a moment. Get some of this extras out of here. So you can adjust salt, pepper however you like. You can always put more in if you need it, but again, if you've got too much, there's no taking it out. All right, this is boiling now, so I'm going to add the turkey meat. And the vegetables. The vegetables are still hot. This all goes together very quickly. That looks delish. I'm just going to let it heat through. That's all you want it to do. All of the cooking that needs to be done is done. Tidy up here a little bit. I'm going to give this one more test. And one thing you don't want to do with any kind of meat that's already cooked, it's going to break down and shred very easily. So once this is heated through, you're done and you're going to be putting it into the pan. Let me just get a little bit of carrot and a little bit of celery. Very good. It's nice and crunchy. I'm ready to turn off the heat. And I'm going to get a pan ready and we'll go get it into the pan and then make our biscuits. Okay, the filling for our pot pie is done and now it's time to make the 2-ingredient biscuit crust. So this is self-rising flour. Any brand that you like will do. This is a 1 cup measure. 1. And 2. That's going to look like about 3 cups. We'll go with that. All right, the next thing we want is to get our cream in here. So I always cook by eye, and so I don't know exactly how much it's going to of this is going to be required to make the biscuit dough, but this is 1 cup of heavy cream. That is all that needs to go in there. As long as you're using heavy cream, it will turn out perfect. If you use milk or half and half, you may need to add a little melted butter to it, but the butter content in the whipping cream will be perfect for making these biscuits. All right, 1 cup was not enough. So let's make 1 more cup of heavy whipping cream. And you're just looking for a consistency that is a dough that you can manage and roll out. And again, a lot's going to depend on the humidity in your house, the temperature of everything. All right, I'm close, but there's still a bit of flour down in the bottom. So I'm going with a 1/2 cup. So at this point, we're now up to 2.5 cups of heavy cream. That boom was my oven heating up. I've got the oven preheating to 425 degrees. All right, that's actually looking pretty good. Just trying to get the last of the wetness from the bottom of the bowl. All right, that looks good. All right, I've got a board here already dusted with some flour. I'm just going to turn out this dough onto the board. Start to run out of room back here. Okay, my hands are clean. Just pull your dough together into a nice ball. You're not going to be kneading it, just pull it into a ball. Okay, I've got a little rolling pin here. Just gonna roll it out. I'm gonna go with about a 1/2 inch thick. All right, that's pretty close. Well, I don't have the right size biscuit cutter, so I'm just going to use one of my canning jars. When you use something that doesn't have a hole all the way through, when you press it down, you just want to press down. You don't want to turn it, because if you do give it a twist to get it off of there, it will actually make it so the biscuit doesn't rise as much. So just do your best to get that made. Press it down. And that came up just fine. You may have to coax it a little bit to get it out of there. There we go. Okay. So at this point, we're ready to put the filling into the pot pie. I've got a 9x13 pan here. Still nice and steaming hot. Got a piece of chicken escaping, or turkey rather. All right, spread it out so that the filling in the gravy is all evenly distributed. Okay, we're going to start putting our biscuit dough on there. Move this so you can see. Straight down. No back and forth twisting. It's going to give you a little resistance, but go ahead and just push it down until you can pull it out. So yeah, I'd say this was about 1/2 inch. I may have some biscuit dough left over, but that's just fine. Make biscuits. I don't know if you can see that it's giving me a little resistance here, but that's fine. It still comes up. And I'm just kind of pushing it to get it to release. So it looks like I'm going to get 8 biscuits on there. Two more, this is working out perfectly, and then we'll have some extra for biscuits. A side of biscuits. Okay, well, the turkey pot pie is baking in the oven. It's almost done. I thought I'd show you the extra biscuits that we ended up with. So these will go into the oven as soon as I pull the turkey pot pie out. Oh, look at that. That looks absolutely delicious. I'm going to let this cool down for a moment. And in the meantime, I've got the biscuits that were the extras are in the oven, and I've got my timer set for 15 minutes. So I'm going to serve this up now and give it a taste, but this is looking like my dinner tonight. Yeah, another escape. There you go. How does that look? Lots of vegetables, biscuit. Gotta try it, right? It's really steaming hot. So once I put this in the oven, it took all of 15 minutes until it was ready to serve. I'm going to try to not burn my tongue here. That's really delicious. The biscuit is nice and soft. The vegetables are still sort of tender crunchy, and the meat is delicious. You will absolutely love this. So I'm going to go ahead and have my dinner now. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any comments, please put them in down below. And also, if there's something else you would like to see me make that is on the same sort of subject, which is meals that are frugal and nutritious and creative, I would love to give it a try. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you on the next video.